Let's talk about the tourism industry. Nigeria has officially adopted Destination 2030, Nigeria Everywhere, as Nigeria's global soft power and tourism brand, marking a significant milestone in the country's journey to becoming a prominent global hub for art, culture, tourism, and creative economy. President Bola Tinubu approved the adoption during the Federal Executive Council meeting. Since its inception in 2023, the Soft Power Initiative has yielded remarkable progress in showcasing Nigeria's creative industries globally, expanding the country's cultural influence. During her presentation, the Minister of Art, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy, Hannatu Musawa, described the strategic importance of Destination 2030, Nigeria Everywhere, as a country's national soft power and tourism brand. She said this initiative will accelerate efforts to maximize the economic potential of Nigeria's cultural sector. The Managing Director of ASCOM, Ayodele Adio, joins me now in the studio for more on this. Good to have you join us at this time.
Thank you for having me.
Right, so what's your take about this adoption?
I think it's a step in the right direction. It's time that Nigeria pivots away from its relentless dependence on oil and, sort of embraces the opportunities that the tourism sector provides. It's long overdue. Nigeria has, a rich story, has a rich history, is blessed with several historical sites. It's blessed with, beautiful and unique culture. It's blessed with wonderful and warm people, I might add. And there is no better time than to leaning on the opportunities that tourism presents. And I mean, it's a brilliant initiative by the federal government, and it has to just go even beyond the soft power element of it to looking even more towards the economic opportunity that it provides in terms of job creation and in terms of stimulating the local economy across the entire country. So, it's the right step in the right direction.
All right, talking about some of those historic sites, the MOA, that's the Museum of West African Art, has just been listed by the New York Times as one of the global Destination 2025 that individuals should actually, visit. What does this mean for Edo as a state and, the entire nation, Nigeria?
I mean, I think it's a huge image booster for not just Edo State, but for even Nigeria as a country, because, I mean, firstly, no site has been listed in over a decade in the yearly report from the New York Times. And the fact that MOA makes that list sort of places a huge signpost on Benin City, which has a huge cultural heritage, I might add, that says just come and visit, Benin if you'd like. And I mean, it's not just what it even does in terms of the reputation of Edo State. It also what it does, for the economy in Edo State, because MOA is likely going to even create close to 25,000 jobs in the local economy in Edo State. It's going to attract funding. It's already attracting funding from global institutions like the Mellon Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, attracting scarce forex resources, into the economy. And of course, the fact that it's on such a huge platform like the New York Times, it arouses the curiosity of tourists across the world who want to come and visit and see for themselves, the rich heritage, that Benin has. And to that extent, you're likely to see spending of upwards of $50 million in the economy in Edo State and in Benin particularly.
All right, and talking about that rich history, what do tourists, hope to gain or experience, and of course, speaking to Edo's rich culture and history as it is?
I mean, if you go back to from the 13th century up onto the 19th century, I mean, the spectacular, unbelievable craftsmanship of the Edo people, whether you're talking about, their prowess, their vision, their capability in terms of, the arts, whether it's the carvings that, they were renowned for, that even outstanded the Portuguese when they came, as far back as the 13th century. It's something that is an absolute game changer, if you asked me, because it's almost like you're bringing the Venice of Africa into Benin City, to put it mildly. And what that also even does for the creative space in Benin is unbelievable, because you're going to have, young creatives who now have some sort of an institution that shapes and builds their capabilities, that gives them access to funding, that also exposes them, to the global art community. It's just a huge booster, for the young people in the creative sector, in Edo State. And, like I said, Benin is now likely going to be the next global destination for cultural tourism, where people who have read about, the ancient, walls of Benin and how great the Benin kingdom was, will now want to come and see for themselves,
Right.
and that, of course, like I said, stimulates spending in the local economy. But for me, what it also does is the re-engineering of the young minds in Edo State and in Benin, because like I say, a mind that is stretched cannot go back to its initial position. And
Okay.
people who know
Yeah.
that their grandfathers or their forefathers, achieved greatness with the work of their hands in terms of their arts and their carvings, are not likely to tolerate mediocrity. They
I hear
also
you.
will be inspired to do great things.
Okay.
And that for me is the most important thing that, MOA is doing in Benin, and the work it's doing with young creatives there.
Okay, in your opening statement, you said something about turning attention from oil. Does tourism actually hold a potential for economic diversification?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, countries across the world are earning billions and billions of dollars, yearly from just tourism. I mean, look at the Saudis, for instance. Last year alone, they had a cumulative spend in their local economy of over $60 billion. They are projecting to do $130 billion in local spending in the economy this year, largely from tourism. A small, poor country like Nepal is doing close to $500 million a year, from tourism. If you do a quick change to Naira, you know how much that is. So countries across the world, whether it's Spain, whether it's France, whether it's Italy, are generating billions of dollars from tourism. And there's no reason why we also shouldn't be plugging into that ecosystem to generate not just money spent in the local economy, but to create, decent jobs for our teeming youth, that pays well and sort of helps them climb the social ladder.
Managing Director Askal Mayodele Adio, thank you very much for your time on TVC News at 1.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.